we seem to keep going from crisis to crisis, the financial crisis, the climate crisis, the health crisis. We have to recognize that in order to solve these problems, we actually have to go to the structure, to the root of the problem, not just the symptoms. And for that, the economy itself is an outcome of how we actually govern public institutions, private institutions, but also their interrelationships, public-private relationships. And I believe that Europe is at a crossroads. We can actually use the current recovery plan to both be more purpose-oriented, to put conditionalities to member states that they actually have to invest in climate mitigation and the digital divide and strengthening health systems, but also to then redesign the instruments on the ground so that they actually catalyze experimentation and innovation to truly serve public goals. And for that, we need to rethink the social contract. Indeed, the term New Deal or the Green Deal, the word deal has to be taken as seriously as green. And the deal needs to actually be nested within the contracts, whether these be procurement contracts, grants, loans, bailout schemes, recovery schemes. What would it look like if, in exchange for being bailed out or receiving recovery funding, within sectors we require transformations, lowering material content of production, reducing carbon emissions, improving working conditions, paying the living wage, reinvesting profits into production, as opposed to extracting profits through areas like share buybacks or excessive dividend payouts. I believe that the 21st century will be the century where we actually test the talk about stakeholder value. Can we actually walk stakeholder value? By doing that currently during a pandemic where even the vaccine, it's not enough to have a vaccine if the intellectual property rights continue to be abused. IPR patents are too wide, they're too strong, hard to license, they're too upstream. We need to actually focus on common good, public good perspectives on how we govern production and innovation. And even with the vaccine, it's not just about charity and donors, it's actually about changing the innovation model itself. We need to move out of a charity model or purely redistributive one to actually start doing capitalism differently, producing differently, distributing differently, and consuming differently. And I hope that progressives in Europe really take this agenda on. We can't continue to just talk. We need to walk the talk. And I believe that the mission-oriented approach to public policy, which is about market creating, not just market fixing, a purpose-led and stakeholder value governance of the business sector, and especially a more symbiotic and mutualistic relationship between public and private actors is going to be critical both for the climate crisis, the health crisis, and especially to avoid another massive financial and economic crisis. Thank you so much.